What's up, everybody? It's the Existential Stoic Podcast. Have you ever struggled to meet people? Have you always wanted to make more friends, but you don't have friends, or you struggled, to just find people interesting that you can hang out with? You're in luck because today our quick fix is how to win friends. I'm Danny. I'm here with my buddy Randy. What's up, Randy?
Yo, Danny.
Yeah, what do you think about how to win friends? This is I think people struggle with this today for sure.
Well, this is a big one. I mean, people can't relate to other people, especially after the pandemic. They don't know how to relate to other people. But
We
it
all
is
forgot.
hard because we've all been brainwashed in the past 15 years that we're supposed to establish social connections through an app. And so
Yeah.
now when it's actually like person to person, there's all this tension and worry because how that's so weird. You mean I'm supposed to meet somebody without an app? Like, what's wrong with you? So it's
Yeah.
interesting, but
It is funny, it's like a fear of talking to people anymore, I think, in person. You're right, it is without that medium between you. And I think it's interesting. So we each have three tips here to help everybody so they can win friends. I'll start because it's my week. So my approach is pretty straightforward, but listen and let other people lead the conversation. I think this is actually something, we all tend to want to talk. We want to say our piece, we want to talk about ourselves. But if you listen and let others lead, it shows an interest in them. You also find out more about them quickly. And, you're more likely to make a good impression in that sense, to where they'll want to keep engaging with you.
absolutely. That's the point that's in a lot of like the classic self-help literature where they're like, let the other person talk. And most of the time at the end of hours of them talking, they say that you're a great conversationalist.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what happens every time. It's really funny, but
Yep.
it's true, it is.
Yeah. So my first one is be the type of person that you would want to be friends with. So I kind of stole this from like a relationship type of idea where everybody, like everybody wants to date this super hot top model, but you have to think, well, what type of guy would she date? And are you that type of guy? So it's the
Yeah.
same thing with friends. Like if you want to be friends with this type of person, well, what type of person would they want to be friends with? And are you that person? And if you're not, it's not terrible. It just means you can probably change some things and then you can better become the type of person who would have that person as a friend.
It's a good point though, because it's that introspection to actually think about what about you might be problematic or might be, might need to be worked on, because we all have that stuff instead of thinking we're perfect. But you also make a good point, which is, friendships are share so much like good friendships share so much in common with relationships that I think there's so much overlap. So if you have ideas there, you can totally apply the same basic ideas to friendships. At least ideally they should be. My next one's kind of similar. It's stolen really from it's something Aristotle says about friendship that I've always liked, which is, look for people that have share a common ground in the sense of common characteristics. So he speaks in the sense of similar virtues. And I always like this idea that, your friends really should, through your friendship, you should become better people. You should each through that relationship become better. And so a good starting place is finding people you share this common ground with in virtue. So, it could be that you're in school and there's somebody else that's really good at school or likes learning a lot. So you find sort of common ground that way. It could be through, some kind of game you like playing. It could be through, whatever, but finding that as a sort of starting point, as a foundation for the relationship.
But that's a great point that you make there, how you have to find them doing things that you already enjoy doing. That's one of the reasons that I hate this whole like dating mentality where you have to go to
Yeah.
a bar to meet somebody, because unless you're an alcoholic, like you're not going to meet somebody at a bar who does what you like to do. So you should be doing what you actually enjoy doing, and then when you're there, see the other people there and meet them.
Yeah, it's pretty funny, right? Unless you go to the bar literally every night. This is where I spend all my time. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
right. Right. Oh, you're an alcoholic too. I think this is going to be great. Yeah.
It'll work out.
um, yeah. So that actually brings me to my next one, which is actually ask for the friendship. So this is something people are very timid to do, and this is something that I actually thought of back when I used to do like pick up with girls and stuff like that. Is like because I at the time I was moving to a different city, and I was like, I don't
Yeah.
really know anybody here, so it's going to be of my best interest to make some new friends. And I was like, how do I do it? Well, if I just see anybody who I'm interested in, guy, and I want to be friends,
Yeah.
I could just go up to him
Yeah.
and say hi. And here's the really interesting thing. that the person who ends up making the most friends in a room is the person who actually goes around and introduces themselves.
Yeah.
It's not the person who's waiting there or who's the best looking or anything like that. It's the person who actively goes around and introduces themselves. So that's like the whole idea of ask for it. If you want to be friends with somebody, ask for it. Like I remember one of my good friends as an adult, because they say as an adult it's like harder to make good friendships because
they
like
always say that,
we're timid or whatever. I remember we were sitting in his car. We played some video games together. We did a whole bunch of stuff that we both like doing. And then he was like dropping me off at my condo. And he's like, so are we like friends now? And I was like, yeah, I think we're friends. This is pretty cool.
This works out. Yeah, but it's funny though, because I think you're right though. So many people are so afraid to like just make it known. But I think, think of how flattering it is too to ask somebody that, right? I mean, the other person's gonna be flattered. And obviously, like, it's the same kind of thing too, that like if you're, you see people that are hanging out together, like relationship wise, like a guy and a girl be hanging out a lot, and like you can tell they like each other because they spend all their time together, but they've never like mentioned it or raised the point of like, are they going out? It's like, obviously you like each other, you spend all your time together. So if that's the case, don't be afraid to raise the question or just make it clear. I like that one. My next one is a little bit very practical, but just be dependable and be on time. I think we forget this too. Like, people, when you're trying to make friends, you're trying to, be friends with people, being flaky, not sticking with your commitments, people just get tired of it eventually. At a certain point, everyone's going to just say, that's enough. I don't want to deal with this anymore. So it's finding people, on the one hand, but also being a good friend, right? Being dependable, being on time, and being there for the people when they need you. I think that's also important.
Absolutely. That's a big thing of what a friend is, because you get to really find out who your friends are when you're going through tough times, because it's your friends who actually hang around. Everybody else just buggers off. So being dependable is a great way to win friends. So my last one is to work on having like a comfortable old shoe type of personality, like flatten out your rough edges. This is something that Lyndon Johnson used to talk about back in the day, the president, having like this kind of personality where you're just like, people are just comfortable in your presence. And I think, at least for me, it's something that I continually need to work at, because I keep finding all these rough edges that I have and all these things that just like I flip my lid and everything like that. So it's like constantly focusing on just being like smooth, comfortable, relaxed, just that type of thing.
That makes a lot of sense, though. It makes everybody at ease, right? Nobody's worried about you, like, blowing your lid and going crazy or something. So
you're not that person who's going to flip their lid at a waitress because she brought the wrong meal out or something like that. You're not that person who's going to embarrass them in public. So like working on that part of your personality, people can know that they can depend on you, like what you were saying previously, to just be a good companion to spend their time with.
Yeah, they're not going to cause any major problems or anything like that. I like that one. All right, so now everybody knows how to win friends. Those are our tips. We'll be back later this week with another episode. Check us out on YouTube, listen to us on all the apps, like, subscribe, share with a friend. It helps us out a lot, though. Until then, though, it was a pleasure. Later, Randy.
Later, Danny.